Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome to technically my first video in my Valentine's 2020 video series. Wanted to get started with these, but I will be jumping back and forth between these and Christmas cards and all that stuff. But like to have them labeled properly. So I am using brand new wafer dies and stamps from Waffle Flower. This is part of their December release. And I really fell in love with this Outline Love Word wafer die. And then there's the Outline Love stamp set. And then the coordinating wafer die for the set, which is the solid one. And I decided to use these with some pink and red sparkly cardstock and some vellum. So I decided to make two cards since I had the pink and the red. And I just pre-trimmed out the glitter paper and then the vellum so I can run all this through my die cut machine, just quick and easy. And for the glitter paper, I'm using Tonic's Ruby RITZ glitter card and then the Candy Floss glitter card. And then just vellum for the outline. So run that through my die cut machine. I'm using just fresh, brand new cutting plates in my Platinum 6 here. Which is always just, it's funny, like you put that first cut through and it's just like, oh, they were so clean and pristine. And then I will use these until they are completely used up. They end up with so many cut marks. I, flip them, rotate them, go through them. Like I'm die cutting multiple projects daily. So anyway, feels nice though to have like just fresh plates that you can actually see through. So die cut the words. And for the Outline Love word die, it actually die cuts like the outline of the letters and then the inner pieces. So you can do some paper piecing if you want and kind of get a cool look. But all I wanted was the inner portions because I'm going to adhere these to the Outline Love matching die. That's the larger one because it's meant to go with the stamp set. But obviously it will work with the other die cut as well. And that's what I did. I just took those little inner portions out and then I am just adhering them to the vellum with a little bit of kraft tacky adhesive, and then it's going to be good to go. And you could alternate this too. Like again, you could die cut it from multiple cardstock, or I could have alternated like the pink and red, like each of the letters, and had like both colors on each piece. But I just decided to go with one's done in pink, one's done in red. So after I had finished assembling these words together, I've also got stamps from that Outline Love stamp set. And the stamp set's the same idea. You can stamp the outline and then stamp the inner solid portions with different colors of ink. It's all there. And there's even the little, I don't know what you would call those, the little pieces that kind of overlap. That's actually all in one stamp. So it lines up really, really easily. So you could do that instead of die cutting. But of course, I just wanted to die cut because I also wanted to use the glitter cardstock. So I only took one little sentiment from this, and this is another one of those ones where you can kind of build whatever sentiments you want. So it's not specifically, love or Valentine's. It can be, it says like love from mom and dad, love is all we need, love from me and the kids, like just kind of a cute set. So I just chose the you to bits, so it'll say love you to bits sentiments. And I stamped them onto a black cardstock with Ink on 3's Juicy Clear embossing ink. I'd used my anti-static powder tool, stamped the sentiments with the clear embossing ink, coated it with the detail white embossing powder, and then melted that with my heat tool. And then I'm just trimming those down with my paper trimmer until they are just thin little sentiment strips. And then I also trimmed down more of that glitter cardstock. So this is the Ruby RITZ Tonic glitter card. And I'm going to be backing these die cut panels with the glitter cardstock. So I'm cutting the glitter cardstock to just slightly smaller than A2 with my paper trimmer. So once I've got the red cut down, I'm going to cut down the Candy Floss, which I should point out online, like when you look at it listed in the store, it looks almost peach, like very orangey. It is very pink. I remember I was linking to it in one of my previous supply lists. I was like, it looks orange. Like, is this the same thing? It's very pink. It's Candy Floss. It's named properly, but for whatever reason, the online listings of it, a lot of them like list it almost like an orange sort of a shade, and it's like bubblegum pink. So anywho, I am using those to back this die cut. This came out previously. This is Waffle Flower's Micro Grid 1 wafer die. And I had already die cut that from heavyweight white cardstock. And then I apply just a very thin amount of craft tacky glue around the perimeter, and then just down a few, like just kind of alternated down the lines. Not a ton of glue, just a bit. I don't want, you know, thick blobs of glue oozing out, but just a thin amount. And I've said this in other videos, I like using liquid adhesive when it comes to adhering to glitter paper, because it needs to kind of penetrate that top layer of glitter and really hold everything in place. So this worked really, really well. So once those are adhered, I now just need to start like assembling my card fronts. So I decided to use my little Darice foam strips here that are super narrow. I am going to use those to back the Love die cuts because they're just the perfect width. So I can just adhere these kind of behind the die cut portion of the glitter cardstock, and you won't see that through the vellum since they'll kind of be hiding behind the glitter paper. So I get these all into place, and of course I'm going to do this twice to both of these die cuts, and I also am going to back the little heat emboss sentiments with the Darice foam strips as well. And technically I didn't really need my ruler to line these up because I'm literally lining this up on a grid. I thought I was being so smart when as I was making these, and now looking at this while I edited, I was like, what was I thinking? Like, the background is literally straight lines. But if you don't have a background that is straight lines, using a ruler can help. So I'm just using the little Creative Corner ruler that comes in the Misty Creative Corners pack. The little L-shaped ruler, and I just use that to line up the large Love sentiments and then press those into place. And then adhered the heat emboss sentiments. And then once that was done, I've still got to add a little bit more bling because the glitter cardstock isn't quite enough. So I have Studio Caudia iridescent hearts and red hearts crystals. These are literally heart-shaped. And of course these get pulled out, you know, when the Love cards get made. Try to always find reasons to use these because they're just so pretty. So I use them on both of these card fronts, and again, just adhering them into place with Kraft Tacky adhesive. And then I'm going to add a little bit more embellishment with Waffle Flowers enamel dots. I'm going to use the pink ones from the Up and Running pack. And I'm going to use the clear sparkly ones from the Stardust enamel pack. And I'm just going to use these to kind of add that little extra something and just kind of make everything work, if that makes sense. So I adhered those to both of those card fronts, and then I need to finish the insides of these cards. So I'm going to use sentiments from the new Sweet Sentiments stamp set. So I'm going to line these up in my Misty so I can stamp these onto the insides of both of these cards. And both cards are heavyweight white cardstock, 5.5 by 4.25, A2 sized. So I'm going to ink up the like scripty part of the sentiment with Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide ink. So I'm going to do both of the card bases first with that. And then I'm going to line up another sentiment from that same Sweet Sentiment set just slightly below it. And then I'm going to ink that up with Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink. And if you're not familiar with my Valentine's cards or like my Valentine's series, I end up making a lot of Valentine's cards. But for me, they're not specifically Valentine's. I like to add things like thank you sentiments or for friends, etc. For me, I get more use out of that rather than like Happy Love Day. I like something like this where it's like love you to bits, many thanks, my friend. Like it's a friendship card, it's a thank you card. It just happens to be pink and red and like love themed, but it can work for pretty much anything. That's how I like to make my Valentine's cards. So after I finish stamping the insides, all I got to do is adhere the card fronts to the card bases. And that microgrid 1 wafer die is A2 size as well, so it completely covers the card base. So I just use more Kraft Tacky adhesive, and that way I can kind of wiggle these into place and make sure they're straight and completely covering the card base and, you know, not crooked or anything. And once that's done, these cards are complete. So I will have a link below the video to my blog post. I will have a supply list with links to all of the supplies I used. You can check that out directly below the video. And you can also check it out on my blog. My blog post link will be the very first one in the description box below the video. So you can pop on over there if you are interested in any of that. Thank you all so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.